talking. Okay, we're getting ready. We're pre-show right now. We're just working up the discussion. I'm with Nathan Segal, who's a writer. He's down in Mexico. I got to confirm exactly where you are in Mexico because we messed up with getting the advance packet. But he's been on the show before.
I'm sorry about that.
Saturday. That's okay. It happens. I'm just happy. I've only been stood up like in the last 3 months, like a couple times. And I knew that wouldn't happen because usually if we don't get full information, we try to follow up. But anyway, no problem. So End All Wars, what we're doing right now is we're actually building some of the show notes ahead of time. And I can't believe I just did that. What platform did you build that on?
Well, it's a WordPress site, but
Right.
I wound up using the Optimized Press theme.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You like now? How long have you owned Optimized Press?
Can't really say I've owned it, but I've had a license to it for 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I have access to it is because I've written about it a fair bit.
Yeah.
Written a number of tutorials and reviews and this and that. So.
It's a powerful site. And it was, a few years ago, it was definitely a great way to start and it's still somebody could start with that.
For sure. You can do a lot with it.
It's a lot like Genesis. I use Genesis and Dynamic, and then I've got the whole suite of child themes. I've written my own child themes too. Quite a few of them.
You're more skilled than I am.
It's not hard. No, you're skilled. I look at your background. You've done HTML, written about HTML, streaming media world, computer papers, rangefinder, smart computer.
Streaming media world. My God, that's like eons ago.
Yeah, Future Shop, online, visual. So I've done a little bit of my homework. Pics.
Yes, you have.
Mac Today. You've written on. Yep. You wrote a lot.
Yeah, at this point, I was trying to figure out how much I've done. I think I've been published over 1,000 times by now in articles. So yeah.
Now, are you a Canadian citizen?
Yes.
So what do you want me to put down for a city where you're from?
That's a real good question. If you want, well, you might as well use where I was born, which is Saskatoon, which is smack in the middle of the prairies.
Would you spell that, please?
Saskatchewan. What's that?
Spell it. I can't even say it. Saskatchewan.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Spell me the province and the city and the area or the territory, whatever it is.
It's a province.
Province. Yeah, it's a province. Yeah, Saskatchewan. Yeah.
There, I just typed it into the comments. So Saskatoon.
Oh, thank you. Saskatchewan. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy you did that.
You know something? It never occurred to me looking at that name. That's probably it might be Inuit, that name, or Native
Inuit would be Indian, right? Native Indian.
I don't know. I never thought of it until this moment. I just looked at it going, I wonder.
It's Native Indian, so I think it's native. Just Saskatchewan sounds to me very
yeah, it does,
American.
doesn't it? It just never occurred to me until this moment. So there you go. Saskatoon. Where is that? I could look up. Saskatoon is in the province of Saskatchewan. I can't tell you exactly where.
I know where Saskatchewan is.
I think it's close to the Manitoba border, but I'm not 100% sure. Truthfully, it's been a very long time since I've been there. I think the last time I was there was probably 30 years ago, if not longer. It looks
beautiful. Yeah, I just pulled it up. It looks nice. Oh, it looks nice. A lot of water. Probably cold up there, though.
Square tires are a phenomenon in Saskatoon.
Looks beautiful, though. I bet there's some nice fishing up in there.
There probably is. Bear in mind, I mean, the cold season in Canada is like 10 months of cold. 2 months of summer, and then boom, it's like Calgary's like that too, sometimes worse. They've had snow in July in Calgary.
Well, British Columbia is gorgeous. British Columbia is gorgeous.
Very much so. I like it far, far better. And
so where are you physically today? I know in Mexico, right? What part of Mexico?
Ensenada.
Well, please.
Well, actually, if we're going to get technical about it, I'm not in Ensenada proper. I'm on a golf course about 20 kilometers north. Like I said, I'm house sitting for some friends. So
drop the name of the area so I can put that in. We'll call it
Baja Mar. Hold on.
BAJAMAR.
Yeah, I was just typing it in. There you go.
Oh, 2 words, MAR. Okay.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. It's Baja would be under or lower, and then Mar means sea. So, but I've seen the signs for the place quite often. The 2 letters are combined.
So is it Baja Mar, Baja, California?
Yes. Yes. It's funny because years ago when I was younger, I said, yeah, I want to wind up living in California. And here I am. I'm in California, but not the California I thought I would wind up living in. So it's kind of funny.
I'm surprised that during the Mexican-American War, we didn't, lucky they didn't grab, if the U.S. would have grabbed that piece of territory, can you imagine what it'd be like today down there during the war?
Well, I mean, the thing that a lot of Americans don't know, and you get some of your politicians talking about immigration in Mexico and stuff like that, due to a guy by the name of Santa Anna about 150 years ago, the United States annexed 4 states that were once a part of Mexico: California, Texas, and I forget what else.
Arizona and New Mexico.
Yeah.
And part of Colorado and Nevada, too, that whole area. I'm a little familiar. I've studied quite a bit of Western history.
Oh, cool.
I know about the battles. I'm a West Point grad, so I've actually studied some of the campaigns, the history of the Mexican-American War. That was the first real war that a lot of West Pointers were actually in. Lee was in it. I know a lot about the West. I live in Reno, which is I'm trying to think of his name. Sutter, not gosh darn it. Fremont came down here from the north as an engineer, was really a first American officer. 1832 was the first white person who was a doctor, Harvard doctor failout, who came into LA.
Wow.
I know a lot of the history. And then my brother-in-law was here. His family was here in California before the Mexican-American War. It's got roots, very deep roots.
It's actually very nice to talk with somebody who has some understanding of history, because the way I wound up learning a lot about it is several years ago, I wound up encountering this guy in a restaurant, and he was having a whole bunch of grief problems to do with his mother and something else. And I wound up helping him based on what I knew of spiritual knowledge and understanding. And after a while of doing this, at one point he said, I have something I want to give you, which surprised me because I didn't, I wasn't looking for anything. I was just sharing information, really. Anyway, so he went out to his truck and he came back and he handed me a book. And the book was called There's a Word for It in Mexico. That's the title, literally. And what it has to do with is all the major words of Mexico and what they mean in the history. And man, that book was one of the hardest things I've ever read. I couldn't finish it all. It was too painful to read it. I found myself in tears more often than not reading what happened to the Mexican people. It's just really, really sad.
Well,
really
before the Mexican people and the Spanish, of course, you had the Indians. Yeah. The Indians were slaughtered by Cortez and others.
Yes. That was part of the history that I was reading. The Aztecs were responsible for killing 2.9 million people, and Cortez and his band of people killed 15.8 million, according to history.
Right. It's kind of
horrifying.
I don't know a lot about that history. I just know of the outside of it. I haven't studied it in a lot of detail, but I do know a little of it in some of the folklore. And I don't know much about the Catholic missionaries other than the missions that come up through California. And that's interesting too. That I probably should know more. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of my black eye. I got this new camera. Let me pull it down just a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Restart. See if that's better. Okay, maybe.
This is actually kind of cool talking with you like this. The only thing you should know, you've pulled your camera down, but your name and stuff is cutting off this
top of my head.
Much of your head. So.
That won't show up though on I'll move this up just a little bit. That won't show up when we record.
That's true.
I made a mistake on these glasses. I love the glasses, and they threw in the tint for free at the end. I really don't like the tint on these glasses. There's a tint.
I made a mistake like that myself. They put polarizing on my glasses, and I hate it because it creates this really weird effect on different things. It creates this shiny effect, and I really don't like it.
They're really good glasses. They're really lightweight and they're durable. And I had military prior to this, and these are really nice. This is the first part of real civilian glasses I ever got.
Well, if they're military grade, they're almost certainly better than everything else.
No, I had military. These are civilian, and they're just really. They have that tint. I don't like them but I need them.
Understand. I need glasses for distance, but not up close. Working on the computer, doing what we're doing is great.
My distance is pretty darn good. I'm still good there. So let's get going. I'm trying to think. I want to catch people's attention right away when we start. So what would you suggest I open it with? I'm going to do, after we do the show, I'll go back and post edit and write your intro and write about you.
Yeah, sure.
Is there anything specific you want me to say about you in your intro? I said on this episode of Timelines, we have Nathan Segal, and he is coming to us from, and then we'll put I'll say Mexico. Now, Nathan is a copywriter as well as this, but today we're going to go in and discuss initially your life and success principles to start or something like that. And what do you want me to sort of title your life and success principles?
Well, everything that I'm about right now, my whole purpose in life is showing people how to stop their own suffering, how to end their own suffering. That's what I'm about. That's my core message. That's the writing is what keeps me going financially. But this long range, I'm going to be doing what you're doing, hopefully in front of a larger audience. My intention is to get on television, actually, with my topic.
Your voice is really rich. It's nice. You know, it's funny you talk about writing, and I think as Edgar Allan Poe and some others, I actually used to read a lot. I don't read as much now. And when I was back on active duty for, I went 9/11, I spent like half my life back on active duty after 9/11. I was away from my family a lot. So I read a lot. When I was overseas, I read not everywhere I could. I always had a book with me, and at night I'd always read. I mean, that was the only outlet I had. But Edgar Allan Poe, all these guys, when they're young, they complain about the money. They didn't want to worry about money. They just wanted to write and create. They hated money.
It's a common problem. I mean, certainly I deal with these things too. And one of the things that I've been told, just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually you'll get to a point where money won't be an issue. You won't have to think about it. It will just come. Actually, I wound up watching an interview on Blab with Anthony Conklin, I think.
Mm-hmm. I know Anthony Conklin, yeah.
Yeah, so he was interviewing Tony Robbins one evening.
I saw that the very first time Tony was ever on, and he had terrible audio and video.
I know it was pretty horrible, as you say. But there's one thing that Tony Robbins said, which really got my attention. Actually, a couple of things. He said, with these entrepreneurs, these business people, they have a drive, and they just keep doing what they're doing, and they would probably keep doing it even if they didn't make any money from it. They would just keep doing it. The other thing he said is that there's a tipping point. And nobody knows where that is. Nobody can tell you what that looks like. And he says, sooner or later, in the process of doing what you're doing, you're going to hit that tipping point.
On my timelines, if you look at my timelines, this is an old website, Genesis Dynamic, that I built, one of my very first WordPress. And I had built HTML sites, years ago. And I came back after 5 years in the military. I went back on for 5 years on this really special program where I was using XP and everything's classified, and I didn't see the real world for 5 years. Even though I was all over the world, I didn't see the world. And I was a year in Leavenworth, that's where I was based out of. I go into Washington, then I spent 40 months in Afghanistan. But I was isolated. I came back out in December 7th, 2012, and I watched YouTube for 3 months. And then I retired. I got a small retirement from the military, but it's not enough with my family. And I moved out of my city to a whole new area. But this is one of the first websites I started building with WordPress. So it's really one of my very first. I've got 20 some odd, and it's still there. All the same systems are. So it's a little clocky, and it's using Bluehost, which is not my favorite host provider. I've got 2 other host providers, but I just added another little block up there. It's HTML, and I just said join Timeliners, and I said we never quit. And that's when and then I got a little link. I'm going to drop this link in here if I can find it.
Yeah, sure.
The Timeliners, I think I got the link under Timeliners. It's not one of my tabs. Timeline. Yeah, it is. Timeliners. So I put together this years ago, this little piece, like, what is a timeliner? And this show is, this is what the people, I try to find this kind of people on the show. And you're just talking about it. So what is a timeliner? It says we fall back. We are fiercely independent yet coachable. We are good communicators as well as listeners. We strive to have clear visions of what we are doing and strategies for success. We learn to focus our time and energy on what matters. This is just stuff I sort of evolved, sort of sketched on my little sketch pads.
Yeah.
We're of all ages, races, and genders. I don't want to say anything when we believe in duty and family, community, country, and humanity. And then I've got 3 little clips in there. One of them is from Common Sense Band. It's Nikki Hernandez, and it's the theme for Speed 2. That's my nephew. And then the girl who takes a terrible fall during a race and wins. And then I've got Simon Sinek.
Interesting.
So I just dropped the link in there.
Yeah, when you first came up with the timeline things in that broadcast that I was in last week, I misinterpreted what you were talking about, because my understanding of timelines is to do a timeline therapy in NLP.
I know.
Yeah, so it's very important to me, but from a totally different perspective.
Can I ask that question right off the top? What is Timelines NLP therapy? Can I ask that question to start the show?
Absolutely, you can.
That's how we'll start the show. So let's start the show. That was a great start. I'll go back and do your I'll just say, Nathan, welcome to Timelines. And then you come back. So we're going to ask a tough question right away. I'm going to write this out because I find it's really better to write stuff out as much as possible. So the first question I want to ask you, so we're going to ask you, what is Timelines? Make sure I say this right. Timelines.
It's timeline therapy.
Timeline therapy.
Yeah. That's a good question. I'll be happy to answer that one.
Timeline therapy, or do I need to mention NLP?
You can mention it if you want. If you don't mention it, I will.
Okay, let me just ask, what is timeline therapy? I think that'll be excellent because that is really good. I mean, I really enjoyed when you came up. I enjoyed when you came up and we did the reviews this week. By the way, you're welcome to come up anytime on Saturday after the show and do those analysis on the websites like we did last week.
Oh yeah, sure. That was a bit different. I wasn't quite prepared for that, and because I had just built the site and I haven't done any work on it since.
That's a good site. They just did nice things, you know.
Yeah, the feedback was actually quite good, and when I thought about it afterwards, I put a comment in the comments. You know, I appreciate the feedback; it was good, and the comment about building an introductory page, and I thought, you know, that's a really good idea, far better than what I was doing, and I hadn't thought of it. So,
okay, I want to thank our listener too, Bruce. Bruce, thank you for coming up and watching, and you're welcome to stay on. I'm going to lock this down now, but we'll have questions. Now, if I change the topic up there, we get all sorts of other people depending on what topic I put.
Sure.
I'm going to make you, you won't see it, but I'm making you a host if something happens. I meant to do that sooner.
Yep,
and
I see it.
Let me just pop up. Don't worry about refreshing. Where's my phone? Did I leave my phone downstairs? A lot of times I'll put my phone up too. Do us a
What happened?
It's called a blabism.
That was interesting.
Yeah, I was doing something and I just hit, that was where I hit it. Do me a favor. Let's drive ourselves up to about 100 on little props before we start, a little over 100. Just sort of tap those props over by minute. I've got one
sure,
right now.
Absolutely.
I usually do this with a remote one. It's just nice to have some numbers ahead of time. I think it makes some credibility when you come on.
It could very well do. I don't really know.
People see it, at least some. It's not 0 or 1. So,
yeah, I'd never really thought about it. I do pay attention to the prompts to a point, and then after that, I just sort of like, well.
Hey, before we start, one last question: have you looked closely at LMS, Learning Management Systems?
No. I know it rings a bell, but beyond that, I don't really know anything.
We've been doing a study on WP Tonic and then my show about LMS for about 3 or 4 months.
Management systems. I mean, the name sounds familiar, and I'm not really sure why.
It's new ways to learn where you use possibly the computer, checklist, and visual and audio, everything.
Oh.
And you do it, and there's programs written to lay it out so you learn faster online as opposed to a book or something like that.
Well, that's actually interesting because one of the things that I just received, and there's so many directions that you and I can go. But one of the things that happened is, as a result of making the worst mistake of my life, or I shouldn't say the worst mistake, but one of the really bad mistakes, which nearly drove me into homelessness for the second time around. That's how I got involved with Rick Schnabel and his group and everything else, because I knew that NLP was really great for change. And let me think. The learning management systems, like Rick Schnabel has a course called Rich Mind, Rich Life. And at Christmas time, they had a contest. I entered it, and I won second place, which meant that as it turns out, a whole bunch of people gave me offers. But what I really wanted was to be a part of the Rich Mind program. So I wrote to Rick directly, and he sent it to me. Nice. So not only did I get the program, but I've been on their website and on Facebook. And I think it was yesterday well, Rick's got a Google Plus account, so I subscribed to it. And today I noticed that he had a particular video, which was number 21, which was about working with your neurology to set in your like to create a mental pathway to do with creating goals. And I looked at this, and
Hey, can we turn your gain down a little bit? I still think you're pretty strong before we start. Let's come back up.
What do I do here to turn it down a bit?
Are you on Windows 7?
Yep. Hold on. I need to go back to
just
control.
Go up and type in mic, and then there's a mic gain, and just turn down your gain.
Mic gain.
You'll wipe me out. Yeah, mic, the gain on mic. You're so strong today. You're so, I mean, it's rich. It's rich sound.
I'm attempting to do a search for that.
It should be down on there. Go down your controls. I don't have Windows 7 here, but left-hand corner, go down the Pearl, and then type mic, M-I-C.
Yeah, I did that actually. It's easier if I go back to my
panel.
I'm just looking for sound. Okay, so
not your volume of your speakers, by the way. Let me get my headset.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
I want to monitor 2 different locations.
Oh, the microphone popped up again, and I don't know why.
Let's get the mic and just pull down the gain.
I don't have a gain. I just have microphone. I don't see anything to do with gain.
Windows 7, they got a little tweaker in there. Let's see. Windows 7.
I don't see it.
7.
I'm sorry. Yeah, what happened is
how to adjust speakers and microphone volume. Let's see. Windows 7.
Yeah, because what had happened is I dragged the volume down. I set it to like 38 or something like that. And this thing popped it back up even after I did that. I don't know why that happened.
So go in the control.
I am.
In the control, go to sound.
I've already done all of that, and I just pulled the microphone back down. And
then go to recording. Go to sound and hit the recording tab on top. And then pull back the levels. And you got a microphone boost in there too. So go to...
I only see the microphone.
Are you on the speaker properties right now?
What's that?
What's it say on the top of the Windows speaker properties?
Well, it's not quite that.
As I go to a break, I'll put this up.
Okay.
So I keep my content within 25 minutes.
Okay.
Nathan, thanks for that long workup we did today. I enjoyed it very much, but welcome to Timelines.
Thank you.
So if we get this right, we're going to go right into a topic, which is a question. So what is timeline therapy?
Timeline therapy is something that comes out of NLP, or Neuro Linguistic Programming. And my understanding of it is that it was invented by a hypnotherapist. His name escapes me in the moment, but he was very successful in creating all sorts of treatments for people with supposedly serious psychological problems that couldn't be fixed. And what timeline therapy does is you would use it for things like severe trauma. And so what you do is you go back in time, you use a hypnotic induction, and you go back. Milton Erickson was the guy's name. But you go back in time, you imagine that you're rising up in the air, and you travel back in time. And what you're doing is you're looking for a particular event that is the trigger for whatever psychological problem that you're dealing with. And through this process of NLP, you wind up going into this particular instant, and you start learning things about it. And like, for me, the most recent thing that happened is I had encountered some people through a site called Life Beyond Limits out of Australia. And I met a couple of the coaches there, Hamish Baston and Rick Schnabel. Rick, who owns the company, and Hamish is one of the coaches. And Hamish took me through a couple of these timeline therapy things. And I'd had a long-standing problem with bullying to do with my late father, one of my brothers, And this had gone on for years and years, and it was really driving me nuts. And what I discovered is that the problem wasn't to do with the actual incidents of the bullying. Those were painful. The problem was the voice in my head and that I couldn't stop. And what Hamish was saying to me, what we need to do is we need to dissolve the emotional link. And when we dissolve the emotional link, it's going to change the way that you represent whatever happened in your mind, and it's going to take away the trauma. So by doing this timeline therapy thing, we went back in time. It was really strange because we talked for like a couple of hours before this session actually happened. And I was coming up with all sorts of words that I didn't know were coming from my unconscious mind until we actually went into the session. And I realized that this deeper part of me was speaking and giving information, so that when we actually went into it, one of the terms I used was the linchpin event. And so we went back in time and very quickly discovered this particular event. And Hamish walked me through a process. It was a script that he was using to make sure that we were on target. And when we went through this, when it got to a certain point, the entire thing it dissolved so fast. It was in my mind. It was like two giant watch springs, one which spun backwards, counterclockwise, the other which spun the clockwise. And they both undid in my mind, both into the past and into the future, to do with bullying based on this particular instant. And there was all this stuff, and I was on the other side of it before I even realized what had happened. It was over. And Hamish was saying, what is the teaching that comes out of it? What's the most? And I said 2 words: walk away. And so it just changed my mental state. And for a few weeks, there was this up and down stuff going on in my mind to do with the bullying. The things would come up. There would be events that would play the way that they did before, and then it would subside. And then suddenly it just stopped. And it's been about 2 weeks now, and I haven't had any problem with it at all. I mean, my theory about this whole thing and I didn't really believe that it could actually work. I was hoping it could work. I didn't believe that it would actually work. And I had hoped, my fantasy was that I might become the person that I would have been if I had never experienced bullying at all. So whether that actually happened or not, I have no idea, because I have no reference point, because my entire life had been to do with bullying and scapegoating and so on. And then all of a sudden it stopped. And now I'm a different person, very different.
Was there a linchpin? Was there a specific time or incident that you focused in on?
Yes, absolutely. The particular incident had to do with when I was a student at tech school. I was learning aircraft maintenance engineering, and I was in the garage with my father, and I was changing a car battery because it had gone flat. And my father kept interfering with me, and I kept telling him, look, leave me alone. I know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And he just wouldn't listen. And finally, I'd had enough, and I put down my tools, and I told him off, and we wound up in a big fight. That was the linchpin moment. But the thing about it is, it's kind of weird. I can talk about it, and it's kind of, the event happened, but the actual image of the event in my mind, the way I represented it to myself, is no longer there. It changed. It changed from like a color representation, all of this, to like black and white still picture, like grayscale. And now when I look at it in my mind, I just see nothing but a field of gray. There's simply really nothing there. And there's no emotional tie to it anymore either. It's just telling a story, but there's nothing to attach to it anymore. It just dissolved, just unwound, for lack of a better description. So it's over. And so timeline therapy is incredibly powerful. I mean, the actual session, the time together that we were working on this, was only 20 minutes. And it undid a problem that I had suffered from for 57 years. So that's an example of how powerful it can be. So I'm a major fan of NLP, huge fan.
So NLP and timeline therapy, they're two different things, aren't they?
No, timeline therapy. Yeah, so in answer to the question, timeline therapy and NLP, they're part of the same technology. Timeline therapy is one of the tools that practitioners of NLP would use.
Okay, very, very good. You know, it reminds me a little bit about post-traumatic stress.
Yes, absolutely.
And I know there's some tricks. I spent 40 months in Afghanistan. And when I came back for the last time, and I probably wasn't going to go back, though I almost did go back again, that was when I felt most stress. And when I came back, it took me, I'd say 6 months to really be able to focus again. It took me 2 months to focus. So I did a lot of really easy things. And I had some money saved up. And I evolved and moved my family out of California and into Reno. But for about 2 months when I came back, every hour I would think about certain things that happened in Afghanistan. And over my 40 months, a lot of bad things happened. And some of those things didn't really affect me until I was done off my last tour 5 years later. And I mean, there's some really, really, really bad stuff that happened. And you just can't stop thinking about it or getting the images out of your mind. And for me, fortunately, they just went away. But I think that's post-traumatic stress. But sometimes that never goes away for somebody.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of the problem with the military coming back from different missions, a huge problem with PTSD. Mm-hmm. It's also been a huge problem for me as well. A few years ago, I had a problem with an anger episode that was triggered to do with, I think the major driver was the abuse from my family, mostly to do with my younger brother and my father when he was alive. So it triggered a lot of PTSD in my life. So I had this anger episode going on. And at one point, my girlfriend at the time was saying, "You've got to do something about this." And I thought, yeah, you're right. So I got on the phone and called a counselor by the name of Marilyn Sargent, which is kind of funny in the context of our conversation, her name, but that's another story. Anyway, I got on the phone with her and I told her about this problem. And she took me through an NLP process. It wasn't timeline therapy. It was something else. And I felt something complete inside me that should have happened a long time ago. The timeline that I had on it for myself of when it should have happened was when I was 5. For some reason in my life, with all these traumas and different things, the age of 5 seems to be the critical period for many of these things. Anyway, she led me through this process. It was like a mystical journey. It was really very interesting. And at one point, I felt something complete inside me. And I knew that my problem was over. Even before she told me, I knew it was over. And a few minutes later, the session was over. She said, "You're done." She said, "You may go through 2 or 3 episodes of anger as your mind and body adjust to what's going on. And then after that, you won't have a problem with anger anymore unless you choose to be angry."
So Nathan, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're
Sure.
changing the format of the show a little bit. I do a little bit different. We're going to find more about you, your background, where you came from, all the things that you've done. I mean, there's so much, it's going to be difficult to fit it in.
No kidding.
And your life and success principles. We'll do those relatively fast. So there'll be a lot in the next 10 minutes. So let's go to the break.
Okay.
Okay, Nathan, we're coming back off the break and we've got a lot to cover in the next 10 minutes. But quick question, for those who want to look deeper into timeline therapy, maybe it could help them, where can they go?
They can go to Life Beyond Limits. If you just do a search for that, Life Beyond Limits out of Australia, they have a lot of information on that. You can speak to one of the coaches. You can sign up for a free coaching session, and you can learn more about it there.
How about the other site, the I just wrote it down. What did I do with it?
Yeah, it's called To Know Myself, the number 2, Know Myself. It's run by a guy who's an NLP trainer. He's been doing this for a number of years. He's written some really excellent stuff. Like one of the things he's written, which I absolutely love, is a book called How to Get Over Anyone in a Few Days. So if you've ever gone through a really painful relationship breakup and you feel stuck, this book, I guarantee you, will get you unstuck. I used it years ago, and I went from a really difficult period in recovering to recovered in about 3 weeks. It was so amazing. It happened so fast. I didn't even realize that it was better until it was better.
Very good. Very good. So we got a lot to cover here. So
Yep.
The next 3 or 4 minutes, tell us your whole life story.
Oh, yeah, right.
No, honestly. So you're in Canada. You're born in the middle of Canada in the cold country.
Yeah.
You end up probably on the coast. You're going to school.
Well, I mean,
how do you end up down in Baja?
Nah, it's just been a long, circuitous thing. But basically, after like 3 or 4 years, my parents moved to the States. My father tried to make a go of it. It didn't work. We came back to Canada. We went to Calgary. I essentially grew up there, 17 years there. And then after that, in 83, I moved to the coast. I went to Vancouver. lived there for 15 years, moved to Victoria on Vancouver Island, and somewhere along the line, 2004 rather, discovered Mexico courtesy of my ex-girlfriend, and been traveling back and forth between Canada, the US, and Mexico since 2005. And in between that, photography and special effects, and eventually getting into writing in 1998. And it's been a big part of my life ever since.
Nathan is humble. He is in at least how many publications? I've seen a lot of them. I've run into him from Computer Graphics World, Database Journal, Mac Design, Photoshop, Photoshop User, Rangefinder, Smart Computing, the Computer Paper Stream. It just goes on and on.
Yeah, it does. Sort of like an Energizer Bunny, but not quite.
You've written a lot. Now, you've written a book too, haven't you? A couple.
I've written 7 of them.
Yeah.
Mostly about computer graphics and photography. So, yeah.
For the listener, we met on Blab. You've already come on WP Tonic and given some expertise. That's a WordPress show. And I missed the link. I should have sent the link back to you to fill out the form, but Nathan showed up. And by the way, Nathan, thank you for your patience. We're moving the times when I do these interviews to the afternoon. And we do one in the morning, most in the afternoon. That's so I can be more productive during the day. I'm writing schools and courses, and I need to get that productive time out away in the morning. And then in the evening, it's beautiful to speak and talk to people. Then I edit it after dinner, and it's perfect. It's really relaxing.
Good.
It's not relaxing when you're editing in the middle of the day in productive time and people are calling you. You have to edit when it's quiet, when people aren't interrupting you.
Agreed, for sure.
So anyway, that's just a bit of your story. We're going to go right into your time and life success principles. And you have 3 right now. And the first is modeling. What does modeling mean to you? So
modeling is an NLP reference. And it has to do with if you want success in life, whatever that area is, you find somebody who's successful, who's getting the results that you really want to have, and you model that person. You copy their actions. You copy the way that they move, the things that they do, the way that they speak, the way that they write. And if you do that over a period of time, sooner or later, you're going to start manifesting very similar results. And that's what's happened to me as well. Yeah, there was a question that came up, which authors do I like? Well, from a spiritual perspective, which has been hugely important in my life, Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, and Tony Robbins are the ones that immediately come to mind. There's another one, Stephen Bodian. He was my teacher for a couple of years. He wrote a book called Wake Up Now, and that's really good too.
Very good. I love Blab. Carolyn just came in and asked that question, and that added right to the content. So that's part of it. Very, very good. So driving on, the second point is stop blaming others for your failures. I didn't write quite the whole set.
Okay. Well, my main direction right now is about showing people how to end their suffering. So I built a website about it and building videos with it. So it's called End All Wars by Ending the War Within. And what it means is that the very first thing that you need to do if you want to stop suffering is you need to stop blaming other people for your problems. That's the very first step. And the second thing is that whatever you're suffering from, if you're in an abusive situation, at some point you have to realize, and it's crucial, absolutely crucial, that you realize this, that in some way that you're contributing to your own suffering. Now, initially it may not have been the case, but if you acquire knowledge, the things where you think that, oh, well, maybe I can get out of here or something, and you stay, then it means that you're contributing to your own suffering. And when you realize that, that's the beginning of your freedom, because then you'll start to ask questions and look in the different places to find out what you need to do to change your life situation. But it all comes down ultimately to what you're thinking about. Your thinking is what causes your suffering.
So let me clarify that. Stop blaming others for your suffering. And it comes down to your thinking.
Yes. The first step is to stop blaming others for your suffering. The second step is to look at what's happening in your life, the suffering, and to realize that you're causing your own suffering, whether it's just with the environment that you're in, the things that you tell yourself, or if you're in an abusive relationship. If you're in that thing, at some point you've had the realization, wait a second, maybe I can get out of here. But at some point, if you've been really battered down for a long time, you might squash that. I did that. That was part of my problem. But one day when it became so unbearable that I couldn't take it anymore, that's when I said enough and ended the relationship and moved on. But I still had to deal with the problems in my head, dealing with the obsessive thinking, dealing with PTSD, getting help for all of these things. And the more things that dissolved in my life, then I got to see what was really going on. Anyway, that's what I'm into. That's what I do.
You brought up a point I want to mention. One of the tricks they taught us in combat and other places, because we go through a lot of training before we go into these modern wars, is that to take the thought. Now, I don't think this is only temporary. Take the thought, take it out of your mind, throw it down, and stamp on it like ants. And that's only temporary. It temporarily removes that thought, but it will come back.
Yeah, that's one of many strategies that you can use. And what I do, what I've learned, there are different ways of dealing with that. And one of them is just take the thought, whatever it is, write it down on a piece of paper and look at it and to write out all the possible consequences to do with that thought. Like, let's say you don't have enough money for the rent, then you start writing down all possible outcomes to do with that, and however ridiculous. And in that, you will find some answers, things that you can do. Other times, if it's a thought like, I'm really mad at X person because he treats me like crap. Well, you go into that and you a process like the Byron Katie method called the work. And you use a process of inquiry called judge your neighbor. And you go through this thing and you find out what's really true. And what it ultimately usually comes down to is that you're doing this to yourself. It's not somebody else. That's a central part of my message. It's not somebody else doing this to you. It may have seemed like it initially, but when you finally get a certain amount of awareness, you start to realize, wait a second, no, I'm doing this to myself. And when that happened in my life, I realized I couldn't blame anyone anymore. And that was the beginning of my freedom.
Now, this is some other things I found out about you. And you practice what you preach. You've been blogging. You've been blogging your whole life and blogging these thoughts out. Yeah, writing about it and working through it.
Yeah. I mean, like at one point a couple of years ago, I built a website called howtoendyoursuffering.com, which is still up. And one of the things I felt is that, actually, during the process of writing it, what I discovered is that my single number one problem and the number one cause of all suffering in my life was bullying and scapegoating. Oh, well, there are two sides of the same coin, but bullying. And the vast majority of that came from my late father and my brother, who is still alive. And that was the number one cause of all of my pain. And once I had that, then I had something I could work with. And so the challenge was to undo the bullying, and we talked about that a bit earlier with the timeline therapy, and pretty amazing.
So we have one point. We'll finish up the first period, and then it increase your energy.
Yeah. So that was a takeaway from a video that I watched by Rick Schnabel, and it's called, I think it's called From Self-Sabotage to Self-Made Millionaire, and he talks about all these different things, and one of them is like, increase your energy, turn your shoulds into musts, create a why that makes you cry. And the other one was to increase your energy. And I've done all of those, and it's the end result of all of those. And I'm here with you right now.
So, that's a topic, that one topic, what you just talked about, we could do a whole special show just on that one element, increase your energy. Someday come back and do that. I'd love to go in more detail, but we got to jump to a quick break. Then we'll come back to your contact information, life and success, and then we'll talk about a little commercial for you. And finally, one last question.
Sounds good.
So Nathan, we're coming back to the last portion, and we want first to find out, how can the listener find you, get a hold of you?
There are a number of ways. The first way is through my new site, which I've built, which is endallwarsbyendingthewarwithin.com. That's where the bulk of the information will be about me. You can find me on Skype at nathan.segal, so it's nathan.segal, Segal. And email address would be visualartist49@gmail.com. The other option is my phone number, which is 408-844-4851, and I'm on Pacific time.
I love that you gave out your phone number. That's such a good tool for folks. I give out mine all the time for the most part. That's very good.
Know who's going to call.
I love the tradition. I have a rule. If it's more than 3 or 4 lines, generally on a email, a personal email, I'm going to call a person.
Yeah. Well, it makes it easier. In my opinion, I love talking to people, and I like it far more than email. So that's my preference.
And this blab is very nice. So quick commercial. Here's your chance to reach out to the listener and tell them what can they do for you.
Well, at this moment, I'm actually house sitting, and I'm just looking for more house sitting opportunities. So this one will end in about a week or 10 days or so. So I'm looking for other house sitting opportunities down in either Mexico or Southern California. And that could be for either, a couple of weeks or a few months or whatever. And basically, I just offer a lot of handyman things, but also depending on what your needs are, like if you want to learn about some of my other skill sets, like for one thing, if you want to learn how to make money from freelance writing, I can show you how to do that. If you're dealing with psychological issues to do with suffering, mental suffering, which is my main goal, my main purpose, I can help you a great deal with that. So that's it.
Well, I hope maybe in a few years you can come and visit me as I evolve here, because I've gone through a cycle. I went off and I'm coming back, building back up. But I've got two places. Gray Eagle, we're looking at building a cabin, which is about 45 minutes the other side of Truckee, or other side of Tahoe. The Truckee North is a beautiful area that the people don't go. It's on the Feather River. And the other place is we'll build my own home in the next couple of years as I reestablish this new kind of business. This is my third lifestyle. The military has always been with me, but the design, build, construction. And I'm just working 12 hours a day now, so I can't really go out and build that house. But I love where I live. But when I do, I'm going to make sure I have a place for people like you so they can come visit and train, because you learn so much from people. So I thank you very much. That's a good idea. Anyone out there has a chance to have Nathan over to learn from him, I think you'd be amazed. I'd love to get better at freelance writing. I think it's an amazing trade. In fact, that's another topic I'd like to bring you back. We can talk about freelance writing, because I know there's some challenges with freelance writing. I can't go into detail now, but it's sort of an isolated environment at times.
It actually is. Like, one of the problems that we deal with, those of us who are freelancers, is something called writer's isolation, because you're alone a lot, and you need to be alone a lot if you're going to produce any decent writing. The only problem is that it can catch up to you. So, my simple solution for it is going out to coffee shops a lot, not necessarily because I like coffee, and I do, but it's to do with the human interaction. Lately, these days, I've been getting most of my interaction with people on Blab, which has been enormously satisfying. So haven't gone out as much, and yet I don't feel lonely. So it's been really cool that way.
Generally, once a day I come up on Blab, we do our stories and a little bit more. And it is nice. Like you said, you still need to go out and do that face-to-face and have that cup of coffee and enjoy life. It's so beautiful. I do miss going out to the coffee shops, like you said. Well, I'm going to ask one last question, and you don't know exactly what it is. Between Canada and Mexico, what are your favorite foods?
Between Canada and Mexico. Canada one of them would be, oh God, the name escapes me in the moment. It's, I want to say pozole. That's not it. Pozole is a food that I would get in Mexico as a type of soup.
I got you. I got you at the end.
Yeah, you got me all right. It's a particular kind of food. Starts with a P. That much I do remember. But what it is, the usual form that you'll see it in is it's a combination of French fries, gravy, and curds, like cheese curds.
That sounds like definitely like a Northwest, Midwest food for sure.
It's French Canadian, actually.
Yeah, French Canadian, really.
Yeah, and
the prairie food is interesting. My grandmother and grandfather were raised, and their family was raised on the northern prairies of the United States.
And I'm trying my damnedest to remember what that food is called, but it's a favorite.
Sounds good. Sounds fattening.
It is good, and it is fattening, definitely. Cool. And there was a place. I can remember part of the name, but not the first part. Poutine.
That was definitely a surprise question.
Sorry, I just remember it's called poutine.
Poutine. I know poutine.
Yeah. So that's a personal favorite. I love that stuff.
Yeah, poutine. Poutine, other people on this show from Canada said poutine is their favorite. You described it well. I'm happy you described it.
I try. I mean, there's a place in Victoria where the last place I lived before I came down here, which is called Poutine 66.
Mm-hmm.
And they have all these different varieties of poutine. And there was a couple of times I went in there and ordered this one with like big chunks of Montreal smoked beef and stuff like that, and onions and peas and so on. And it was enough for two people.
Well, that's a good way to finish the show. Hey, for those on Blab, stay on. We're going to open it up for dialogue and discussion, questions. We can answer our questions now. And thank you for coming on Timelines. I've got my work cut out for me tonight. I got to catch up on one show. I've been behind all week, and we'll get your show up late tonight. I put this special show before yours and yours up, so it takes premium for a while. So thanks you, Nathan, for coming on. You're a wonderful guest.
Thank you. Much appreciated. It was good to be here.
And your mic sounds good.
Yes. Hopefully, yeah. Well, I mean...
Okay, we're after the show. By the way, I have to put a break in there because I had to put the break in because there's no way to tag this. When I go to edit, it saves me tons of time. First thing I do is I cut off the right and the left, and I just do the show, and I get down to editing it. I listen to the entire show. It takes me probably 45 minutes to an hour to go through it once. And I do my show notes, and then I get it up on Libsyn. We turn it into a podcast. So it's 2 hours worth of focused work to get that podcast up. That's why I can only go like 25 or 30 minutes. But this is an amazing mic. The iRig mic is what you have, and it's such a beautiful feeling mic. I can't wait to start playing with it. And your sound is excellent.
Well, it was really funny, like how you wound up rushing out to actually get one, so that you
I'm
can
not that.
actually
I
use
don't do those things.
But it's really funny because previous to this mic, I had something called the
Blue Yeti, maybe
called Samson Meter mic, which was the most beautiful microphone I'd ever seen. It was Art Deco, and it had a little tripod, and it was beautiful. Trouble is, it picked up all the background noise.
Condensing like this.
Yeah, I guess so. But it picked up the hum of the refrigerator. It was nuts. I had to unplug the refrigerator every time I wanted to do a recording. With this one, I don't have to do that.
This is a good mic here, too. This mic right here, this is the ATR $2,152. It's a good basic core mic.
That's the ATR, isn't it? It had this discussion on another blab. Joel Comm was talking about this.
Have you been on Joel Comm, Joe?
Yes.
He's a big guy. I've never been on a show. I met him once.
I know Joel Comm. He's a friend of mine, actually.
You know Joel Comm?
Yes,
he autographed my book. He autographed a book for me once.
Which one?
National Broadcaster Association.
No, I met Joel at a conference a number of years ago. There were a whole bunch of people I met there. Joel was one of them. Dave Taylor of Ask Dave Taylor, and a bunch of other people that their names, Jim Kukral and a bunch of others. So, and we had a great time. It was a great conference. And
Joel loves this platform.
What's that?
Joel loves Blab.
Yeah.
He's got do good stuff. # do good stuff. He's going to actually market that.
I can believe it. I interviewed Joel a little while ago for my other, another show that I've done, which is called Legends of Online Marketing. So I wound up interviewing Joel for that. And I was asking him about some stuff that I'd seen on some of his other blabs. And he had this flying monkey thing. And so we were talking about it, and he found one, and he showed me all these bits and pieces and stuff like that. And
NMX and the National Broadcasters were together last year. And he presented. He was one of the top. He spoke. I think he was at the national the part of National Broadcasters, which is NMX, which is the new media type stuff. He actually was one of the two keynote speakers.
I can believe it. Yeah.
And he had he did an Uber. They had him come up. He went out and drove Uber one night, and for this first part of his speech, he was talking about Uber. He showed his Uber experience. It was hysterical.
I've been reading about Uber as of lately on Dilbert, which has been pretty funny.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. So yeah. I just stuck this on here so you can see what it looks like. And I'm going to change the topic so we can get some more people in here. What do you think I should put for the topic? Because we'll get more people. The topic is so critical. What I find, and I do this for the blabs now, and I welcome people to watch. I do this for the interviews. I just keep it simple, Timelines interview. So
you can do what Tim Ferriss did. The original working title, I think, of the 4-hour work week was, I think, called Drug Dealing for Profit or something like that.
Okay, let me put that
which
down.
Is nixed by the publisher. So I'm not saying that you should change it.
I'm going to do it right now. We'll just see how it does. We'll do an experiment on the show. Well, what I'm doing right now, I'm just copying this note so I don't have to redo it. Remind me to put that back up before I change it over for your timeline. I can say about another, what time is it? It's 6 o'clock. My kids get out of gymnastics at 7 o'clock.
Speaking of that, I've not been able to figure out how to change the topic. I see.
Okay, what you do is you go down below. It says topic. Down below, there's two places to use a topic. Now, let me explain. Give me that name again. Drug dealing for profit. Was that it?
Yeah. You might attract a Shkreli,
Let's see what happens.
That would be hilarious if you did that. We might wind up with a bit more than we bargained for.
Here we go. I came on for a very short little bit today because it's after Super Tuesday. I'm behind one show, so I had to do a short show, which we'll put up tonight. It's about Super Tuesday. You don't get into politics a whole lot. In American politics, you don't, do you?
No. I know better.
I know better too, but I'm addicted to drug, and I shouldn't. It cost me tons of money over my life. When I was in my late 30s, I had a very successful design build company. I ran for Congress, won the nomination. I was written up in Time magazine as one of the more promising late 30 years old in Republican politics. I met John Kasich, and that was.
I'm glad you changed the name. It's going to be interesting. Every now and then, just so you know, and you probably don't know this, but I have a strong irreverent side.
Drug dealing and tech for profit, maybe.
Maybe.
Is that really what he had? Drug dealing for profit?
I believe Tim Ferriss, the original working title was Drug Dealing for Profit.
How about online business? Online. Let me change it. Drug dealing for profit online.
Whatever you want to do, man. I mean, just to play with.
Let's work on this message here. They know me. I'm pretty straight. Let's see. Drug dealing online. You could do something money online through drug dealing.
You could do something like really controversial and say, "We got an interview with El Chapo."
Let's see. Wait a second. And podcasting, drug dealing for profit. Another one. I said drug dealing for profit. This is terrible. Let me look at this. See, drug dealing.
I didn't make this up.
Online profit. Probably have the DEA. I kid you not. I had the agency come in after the attack on. We had a show. We had 3,000 people watching it, and I had the agency come in after the attack on France the next day. Some of the people who came up on our site, they were targeted overseas, and they actually came in, and without going into detail, drug dealing online for profit. I haven't seen him since.
Actually, if you really want to use another controversial one, which I was planning to use for an article, I actually wrote an open letter, which I put out a few days ago and spread it all over online just to see what happened. But it was called An Open Letter to All Terrorists and Those Who Support Them. So,
okay.
Yeah. It has to do with what I'm doing.
Explain that better? Open, I like that better. Letter to all terrorists
and those who support them. But another title that I was working with, which is Why the War on Terror Will Never End. That's nice.
Well, let's do that. I like that one too. Support them.
That might be better.
Let's talk about that topic for a second. Let me see if this works.
Sure.
So an open letter to all terrorists and those who support them.
Yeah.
Let me capitalize some of this stuff here. Let me clean it up.
Sure.
Sometimes my proofing is not real good.
Neither is mine. I screw up.
You caught something the other day, I think, on one of my sites, which I fixed right away.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm on my YouTube sites, which is kind of nice. I've got like a gazillion YouTubes. That's a better topic, I think.
Sure.
Oops, I didn't work it right though. Let me fix this. I didn't do the topic. So there's two ways. Let me explain. There's two ways to change the topic now. You can go down below and you hit that little slash and it says topic. Yeah. And after the topic, you put a space in, and then you put in your topic, and that's the easiest way. And you can come up there in that little squiggly thing and do the same thing. So an open letter to all terrorists and those who support them. So tell me about that. What does that mean to you?
Well, it had to do with my feelings about what happened after Paris. I was really profoundly upset by what I was seeing, and I was also really upset by what I was seeing in the media, which was the same stuff, like we need to bomb ISIS out of existence and kill off this poisonous ideology. And I'm going, oh man, the same old crap. And I was actually going to write an article with the idea of getting it published on guest posting sites, because some of those sites get an awful lot of traffic. And I still might actually do that. But what I was seeing was the same old rhetoric, which we've been hearing for thousands of years about violence to end violence. Well, we all know that that doesn't work. And yet people keep doing it. It's like that thing to do with insanity, that definition.
Yeah.
Doing insanity over and over again.
I can get results.
Yeah. So my approach was basically saying to all these people and say, look, there's another way to live. And the other way to live is the very first thing you must do is you got to stop blaming other people for your problems. That refers to all sides, the oppressor and the oppressed. You've got to stop doing this shit. It doesn't work. And what you need to do is you need to start examining these thoughts that are going on in your mind that's saying that you need to, Bruce has made a comment there. Nice to see you, Bruce. Thank you for joining us. Anyway, but it's just the insanity of the whole thing. And especially after what I've gone through, it's so incredibly obvious that the only way to end the suffering, to end the problems, is to start examining the thinking process. Because if you keep giving into all these violent thoughts and all these violent ideologies, the same stuff is going to keep repeating. It's not going to change. It's not going to get any better.
You said why? What was the other one? Why the war?
Why the war on terror will never end. I think that would be a better one than this one.
Well,
it was my second working title, and I'm probably going to rewrite that piece and do it again.
I'm going to ask you a political question.
Try me.
EVER. And Obama changed the name of the war on terror. The global war on terror was the name. And during his administration, while I was overseas, at the end of one of my last tours, he changed the name. He said the global war on terror is over. I don't think so.
No,
it's like
not
expanded.
Even close.
In fact, I was a pretty high level when he was saying that he was telling the American public that things are great, and it wasn't great.
Yeah, politicians are noted for that. They say all sorts of stuff that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do they do that?
Because why did they do that? I don't entirely know, but I think it's just that they're trying to reassure themselves that things are actually okay when in fact they aren't. This was something that came up on the TV show Lie to Me, which I found really rather fascinating, and where this young child was saying to this parent, why do adults say that things are okay when in fact they're not?
That's interesting.
And my interpretation is that they're scared. They don't want to admit the real truth, that they're actually frightened too, and that they don't know what to do. And when I was a kid, I remember, and it's not related to this, but I remember being around this one woman. I was very intuitive back then, still am in a lot of ways. And this woman started talking about something, and she was stating all this sort of stuff. And I was thinking maybe 9 years old or something like that. And I was looking at her and thinking, why are you saying that? I know you know it's not true. I know you don't believe it. Why are you saying this?
There's some point, though, children can't comprehend the complexity of the issues.
I think a better word for it, well, maybe with children, I don't know, but I knew even as 9 years old that what she was saying was baloney. And in terms of, I lost my train of thought. Oh, well. I
was saying with kids, with maturity, I mean, you have to watch what you say to kids.
Absolutely.
Depending on their maturity level. And different people, even someone that's older, like my mom, is 90. Some things she doesn't need to listen to. I mean, she's past that point. She can't do anything about it. I'm not going to lie to her.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to bring those things up. My sister and I, I just want to make her life happy. And my sister does too, but sometimes she'll tell her not to do stuff. My mom is very intelligent, very capable. And she, believe it or not, 5-6 years ago, she was diagnosed with the onset of Alzheimer's. And This is one of the few people I know. She did puzzles. She made herself smart again. She went back and she was re-diagnosed, and she doesn't have Alzheimer's. That's a little bit of dementia, and she exercises her whole life. She's in great shape. My uncle is 96 in great shape. But she still is, her short-term memory has actually come back, which is really interesting. I'm not sure what happened.
It's hard to say. I can't. I'm not a doctor. I can't.
I've never heard of a misdiagnosis.
Oh, there are misdiagnoses in medicine all the time. I mean, I nearly lost my life a few times because of misdiagnoses over the years. So that kind of stuff happens more often than anybody would like to admit. And in terms of mental illness, oh yeah, I mean, that's actually one of the biggest problems that I've been encountering with people online is the victimhood, the victim identity. And like when I was talking about some of my topics, like how to work with the problems to do with the mind, one of the famous comments I got repeatedly was, "Your methods won't work for me because I've got a chemical imbalance." And I'm going, oh man, not this bullshit again. Excuse my French. But it really annoyed the crap out of me.
Check out my latest name change.
I'm not the only one who takes the Mickey. Yeah, so
I put "not really" on there.
But not, yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen other people do this kind of thing. So who only knows might show up just going through the blabs.
I'm going to look at Blab. Usually I bring on more people. I haven't really announced it. Something's going. Sometimes Blab can go goofy where it's not putting you up where you're getting exposed. Hey, here's one last thing to finish up.
Sure.
Let me cut this off here. Here's something I want. I'm looking at this other Blab. You really got to be careful opening up their screens. But I'm looking at Blab right now, and this drives me nuts. I've got this. I know his name. It's Martin Shkreli. Let me see how many people are watching him. 272 people are watching him right now. Why? Yeah. Why?
He's that guy who they hauled up in front of Congress because his company bought that one AIDS pill for like the market on it was $17.50, and he increased the price to $750.
I know he's been indicted.
That's who he is. That's why he's getting all that press.
I can't stand this type of. Why are people even? Why would anybody spend any time with this guy? He's creepy.
Because people are attracted to negativity, and that's what sells. If you if you talk about feel good stories in the media, nobody's going to pay any attention. But if you talk about like the worst disaster that could ever imagine, you could come up and say, we have like positive proof that MH370 has been found, something like that on Blab. You might attract a lot more people, and the morbid types who want to find out about the blood and guts and whatever. I mean, go to a racetrack. Why do people go to racetracks? Well, my understanding is a lot of them are looking for the thrill of watching somebody crash a car or get killed or
That's
something.
That's popular sport. Don't hit those Southerners. They love that NASCAR.
I'm not hitting anybody. I'm just giving you an example.
It's a culture. I think it's more than that between you and I. I think it's the culture. It's the dress.
Sure.
It's the car. I mean, Talladega, my wife went to Talladega last year, and she's just amazed at watching. They were doing test trials when she was there, and the noise and the power of the cars. I really don't think she was there to watch them explode, but she wanted to experience.
Some people are.
Yeah. I agree. Some people are, and they go forever, and then they do. But yeah. Hey, I'm looking online right now. So we have Martin Sheehan. He's got like a gazillion people, 272. Let's just do some analysis, how to get more people to watch. What are good practice? I didn't really email out this. I don't try to promote the interviews. It might be the time of day, but a lot of people are up right now. This is a good time to do it. We've got 30 people watching. You have a business. Now what? Real Talk about breast cancer's got 30 people watching. Absolution's got 26 people watching. The Community Blab Lounge, that Blab Lounge thing is like when they just play music. They've got 55 people watching. Nerd World's got 28. There's some powerful stuff. So we must be way down in the bottom of the list, and no one's watching, basically. Central Intelligence Agency boss, John Brennan. I got to take a picture of this because it looks.
You can maybe put up something like.
No, this looks neat. You look like you could be John Brennan. You look like you could be John Brennan. I kid you not. On this picture,
I don't even know who John Brennan is. That shows you how much I don't know.
Anyway, he was one of. There's been a lot of directors of the Central Intelligence Agency.
Well,
under Obama.
One of the things that you could do is you could do another spin-off, some sort of famous person to do with what's going on in the networks. Like if you really wanted to attract a lot of attention, Howard Stern is here.
I don't think I want to do that right now.
I'm not saying that you should, but
I don't
actually,
want to do that.
my brother was involved with a spoof to do with Howard Stern way back when
I put not really on this because he is the director of the agency. So
I can't tell you what's going to work on Blab. You just never know.
I'm just looking right now. I mean, there's 5 watching. We're down here in the 4 watching because they're not all us.
Right.
Let's see. And there's 3 down at the bottom. There's a lot of people on tonight, which is really refreshing. Vicky Fitch is on. She's well known.
Oh yeah, Vicky Fitch.
So, so who do you think I should interview next? It's a good one to finish with.
Oh my God, I have no idea.
I better get to work tonight.
Hey, you could try another Anthony Conklin and say you want to try and interview Tony Robbins. I mean, see,
how do I get Tony Robbins though to interview? I guess email him. Joe Calm. I haven't tried him yet.
Joel Calm is really approachable. I would imagine.
Sure. I guess I can find him on Blab and send him a message, or I am him. I guess on.
Yeah, you could. I mean, it's not as hard as you think. I mean, I actually wrote a piece to do with one of the things that I'm doing on how to interview celebrities.
Let's talk about that. We'll finish with that. How to interview celebrities.
Actually, why don't you change the title? Like, want more press or want more exposure? Interview celebrities. That might attract a few people.
Want more exposure?
Yeah, interview celebrities.
Interview. Hard to do though, isn't it?
No, it's not. Unless I'm here to tell you about, because I've actually done it, and I've interviewed some big celebrities.
It'll be a good topic. We'll finish up with this one.
Yeah.
Spell celebrities.
Yeah.
I'll spell it here. I'll get it right. There you go. I got it right. Want more exposure? Interview celebrities. I'll put an explanation. That's our topic. That'll be a good topic. We'll talk about that one right now because that goes with the timelines and good for me. Plus, like I told you, 7 o'clock gym is over. Gymnastics. Yeah. My daughters go to gymnastics 5 days a week, 4 hours a day after school.
Ooh.
I get back at 7, and then on Saturday and Sunday, sometimes they go in the gym.
Wow, that's a lot of time.
The 13-year-old is rated. They do it by levels and ages, and she was rated at level 7. Her age got a perfect birthday. Her birthday is May 26th, and the regional competition, all stuff starts May 1st. So she gets to be in the young group. And my older daughter birthday's right at the start of the season, right before the season. So it screws her up a little bit. She's 15 and a half. But my youngest daughter was rated number 3 in the Southwest at her level. 3 weeks ago, she won the Manhattan Classic in New York at level 8. And she's 13 now, and she beat the 16-year-olds.
Nice.
And it's really impressive to watch the level. And they're good students. So, well, I just threw that in there, that topic. Let's see if it works. Want more exposure? Interview celebrities. That's a good topic. So tell me, how do I interview celebrities? How do I get a hold of them to do it?
Well, a lot of people would think that you need to go to the celebrities directly, but the way that I did it, I wound up taking a course called Interview Your Heroes with Andrew Warner. And Andrew Warner is the founder of a site called Mixergy. Mm-hmm. You know of him. So in his course, one of the things he did is he gave us access to a database of publishers. And so what I did is I put together a form letter, which is sent out to all the different publishers about my topic. At that time, it was how to end your suffering. And I had a few of them respond to me. And the first one that responded to me was Acadian Publishing. And they said, oh, yeah, we've got an author who'd probably be a really good fit for you. And his name is Coach Dale Brown. And if that doesn't ring any bells with you, I'll give you one of the things that he is well known for. He's the guy who discovered a very young Shaquille O'Neal and coached him. And the two were on very good terms. So I interviewed Coach Dale Brown. And we're still on good terms since that interview, which was about a year ago. I'm on Coach Dale Brown's email list, and we correspond every now and then. So that was one very easy thing that happened. I didn't do anything special except send out a letter. The other one, I wound up talking to a publicist, and she started introducing me to all sorts of people, Margaret Lynch, and couple of other people that I interviewed. And at one point she said to me, how would you feel about interviewing Neil Donald Walsch? And I thought, you're kidding me, right? And this is after I'd done a couple of interviews. So if that name doesn't ring a bell for you, does it? Yes, no?
Walsh, Neil Walsh.
Neil Donald Walsch.
Is that Walsh? Donald
Walsh. Neil Donald Walsch. Okay, let me spell it out. Neil Donald Walsch wrote the Conversations with God series. Millions, 20 million books, 30 million books sold. A very famous guy.
From Milwaukee.
Of wherever he's from. But the point is, I interviewed him.
I recognize him, recognize his face. I saw his pictures.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's a very popular guy, and I wound up doing an interview with him, and I did some homework before the interview. Community with God, and he's written quite a few books. Yep, you betcha. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I was able to get an interview with him, and with this new approach that I'm working on, I was initially told that I should start interviewing celebrities, and then when I spoke to Tim Gillette, who is a celebrity, he's got his own show.
Yeah.
Tim Gillette on Blab, right? And
really?
Yeah, I've seen him a number of times. I wound up chatting with Tim a few days ago. He was doing a Blab to do with technology. And I said, oh, Tim's on. So I joined him, and we did this technology thing. And I gave some advice based on what I know from being a geek in that area. And then it suddenly dawned on me as who I was sitting with, because I was looking for help in my direction. And I asked him live, would you be willing to give me some pointers? And he said, sure. And so I sent him a direct message. He sent me one back. He called me the next day. And we spoke, he told me what to do. So, I mean, in terms of meeting celebrities, it's actually very easy. But there are certain ways of doing it. If you did what I did with the publishers, what you would just do is search for the publishers of these different books written by celebrities, and you reach out to the publishers, and you get to know the publishers. And you might want to interview people that they sent you who might be less popular. You build your trust and so on over time. And then all of a sudden you might find a lead-in. Like one of the things that happened to me, courtesy of things that were happening, I wound up getting tied straight into the publishers for Eckhart Tolle in the United States and Canada. I spoke to both of them. And I wasn't able to get an interview with Eckhart, but I was able to learn a great deal.
Well, you got a mic now. You got Blab, so you can interview anybody. But you're not putting them in podcasting yet? You're just putting them on Blab.
Actually,
and
I am.
I know you've got your podcast.
Yeah, I've got a podcast for Legends of Online Marketing and for my current site, NL Wars by Ending the War Within. I just started.
How do you edit your podcast? What type of work? What do you do when you edit?
I don't do anything fancy because I don't have the knowledge to do that. Basically, all that I've been doing is I do this recording on Blab, or I might just record it at home using Logitech webcam, and then I would convert it like the file form I'm getting as WMV, I believe. So I convert it to an MP4. I strip out the audio into an MP3, upload it, and just use Blueberry on my WordPress site too.
How do you find Blueberry? Do you like
Blueberry? Easy. Super
I use it.
It's very fast, very easy. It
costs a little bit more money, Blueberry. I use Blueberry Player, but it costs a little bit more in Libsyn.
The Blueberry thing I have is free. There's no cost to it.
And you're using the recorder. Where are you hosting it?
I'm hosting it on my own site.
Okay, I got you. As long as you're not getting a lot of downloads, you can get away with that easy.
Yeah, probably. I mean, for now, if it really starts to take off and I start to get issues to do with the bandwidth in terms of downloads, then... So your
RSS feed, did you set that up with iTunes?
Yep.
How did you create your RSS feed?
It was created for me within Blueberry. It set that up for me, and all I
love what you did. That's really good for a small show. You can make like an evergreen show like that too, and it's very affordable. Yeah, make a series.
Yeah, well, like one of the things I'm doing, like in the wake of the advice from Tim Gillette, he told me to create one YouTube show every day for a month.
Did you do it?
I've already started. I recorded 3 videos today. I was in the middle of the 4th, and somebody pinged me on Facebook. I forgot to shut the program off. Otherwise, I would have gotten 4 done.
This is really a nice type of night to do with this interview like we're doing right now. Fewer interruptions. Yeah. And, for example, I'll go into editing. I'll probably have dinner with my family and just edit tonight till I go to bed. I got to do 2 edits. I got to produce something too. I'm really surprised that we're something is bizarre that we're not getting some exposure. I usually do it in the morning. I get a lot of people expect me more in the morning. I'm moving to the evening. I'm going to stick with it. I'm not worried about it because I'm mostly worried about the quality of the podcast. But I'm looking at Blab here. And again, we've got a lot of people. This is a good time of night to actually do Blabs because a lot of people are watching. Not a lot of people, not as many creating, but it's a good time. But we've got a lot of people out there watching.
I don't know. I mean, you could try another switch on the title. Is like you could try like something like I remember reading out of the book about Air America years ago. It's like when we get scared, we run like striped apes.
I think I'll just leave it where it is right now. Let me change the show back to yours. So
sure.
Stop it. It was a nice conversation. Let's stay in touch. And someday, not now.
And we just attracted somebody. Somebody showed up, and I think I know who it is. I think. I can't tell for sure, but I think it might be Cliff Bowden.
No, it's Mike Garrett.
It's Mike.
Yeah. So, hi Mike, how's it going? Come on up if you want to say anything. We're sort of just screwing around right now, but really, really good conversation, Mist. You might go a little bit into detail how you interview celebrities and get those people on because it was good for me, and some experiences you had.
Yeah, it's really not that difficult. It's about coming up with a decent letter as a way of introducing yourself, and then just talking.
You mail it, like just put it in the mail.
No, this is all email.
All email. Okay, very good to clarify that.
Yeah. And so working with this one publisher, she actually sent me a whole bunch of books when I was down in Mexico, and I actually got them, much to my amazement. And then I was able to read through them.
Like?
What's that?
What do you write in the email? What do you say?
Well, geez, I would have to actually find the email itself.
Can you drop it in there, find it, and then just copy the text and drop it in?
Drop it in where?
Drop it in the little live chat on the right side. If you copy the text, you can drop the entire text on the right side and it'll be there and we can get it back and look at it.
Hold on a second here. Okay.
I'll talk you through it. That'll be good. Good way to finish up. And we'll look at it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how I did this. I'm just trying to figure out how I can search for this thing.
Is it in your, do you have it copies like in your email? Hi, Mike.
Yeah, well, I sent out a whole ton of these about a year ago. And I'm just very quickly strolling through my.
So yeah, I'm saying if you can find that, you could drop it in. It'd be fun to get that. Then we'd have it. What's really nice, I got an auto system up there. It's going to go to ublabcast.com. Have you seen do you ever stumble into my ublabcast yet? Keep on looking. Don't.
No, I haven't. I'm getting pretty close to finding this thing here.
I'll let you focus. I'll just talk while you focus. So ublabcast, just sort of listen, ublabcast.com is one of my test sites. It's automated, and the show will automatically show up there. I've just automated everything, and it loads very slow because you find it?
Yep.
Okay, copy the text and drop it in. Let's look. Oh, excellent. Let's see what it says. Oh, wonderful.
That's an example of
you can go to ublabcast. You can pull this up in probably an hour and copy this. It'll be right there in this show. So to PGI, what's that say? Looking for authors.
Doesn't look like it did.
No, you got the whole thing. That's nice. I agree, Mike. That's really nice. That's what I love about Blab.
Yeah, I'm not exactly like I can't see the whole text. I tried to scroll, and it wouldn't.
I think it's all there.
Yeah,
the purpose of my site is to show people how to undo the thoughts that cause suffering. Oh, very good. So it's real simple, straightforward. It's specific.
Yeah, it chopped it off, actually. Emotional freedom technique.
Let's try to copy the other part and drop it in. Copy the bottom.
Emotional freedom technique. Okay, this is the rest of it. Hopefully it will be copied into Blab. So that's more. And still not all of it, so I'll find the rest of it. Let me see. There's a limit how much you can put into the sidebar here.
Oh, this is really frustrating. I had some really good notes.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, that's the whole letter, all those bits. And so it was really straightforward. It's what I learned from Andrew Warner. And so I just used the database of publishers. I was looking for self-help, and that's what I did. So if I want to do that again, I would wind up going through it again. But I wouldn't just stop with a letter. I would start calling them to find the ones that are a good fit for what I'm doing. Initially, with this whole idea of doing the video series on YouTube, I was told to interview celebrities, and so I've got a really good contact for that. But when I talked to Tim Gillette, he said, no, a better way. Well, he didn't even say a better way because we didn't even talk about that, but he just told me to just do a daily presentation, just like I am here right now. And I did one on Blab earlier today and downloaded it, but I realized, it's not as good as I'd like. So I'm using my Logitech camera, and I'm just going to do the rest of the series that way because I can do it in the privacy of my own home. I don't have to worry about interruptions. And then I can just do that and then just upload them one at a time, or just load up the whole works and then just take them off unlisted one at a time each day. And I'm going to put a decent title for each one, what the topics is about. But anyway, that's it. There you go.
Oh, I'm really frustrated. I use a really easy, quick note system. I must have copied over one of my notes on accident. Oops. But I wanted to ask you another question.
Sure.
Let me get the technical side right. I should know this better than I know this. Let me look at one more place here. I lost my notes. I had a lot of tech notes. So there's a company called Begin Online, and I can't think of the name. I'm losing my technical. It's getting late here. But when you on a website, you can put in a pixel. You pixel a website, and then it follows the person. So you land on my website and it drops a pixel.
Yes, I know about that. I've heard about it.
So you don't know anything about it. I had a bunch
actually,
of
notes. I do. I heard about it. It actually came up. Mike said about retargeting. It came up in
retargeting. Mike, thank you. I'm going to put that up for a final topic. How to retarget. Anybody know how to retarget?
I don't know squat about it. So,
anyone know?
Retargeting, the only thing that I know is like URL redirection and stuff like that.
P-I-X-E-L, pixel. So
there you go. Facebook does it with ads all the time, pixels.
I want to put that on for discussion because I actually have that. I want to talk about it a little bit. Can't do it now, but I want to see if we can start the conversation and come back with it. Here's my theory. With Blab, you can learn some amazing stuff from people firsthand, or put stuff together to find out information. I've been trying to. I think here's what happened: is my wife got a call and she sent it to me, and I talked to the guy for a while about retargeting.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can find my notes. And they were trying to sell her. Or other real estate, they prey on real estate agents. $200 a month to set up retargeting.
Right.
I don't think it's that expensive.
Well, if you do it with Facebook, and that's what Mike had posted here. My understanding of Facebook is you can do Facebook ads for as little as $5 a day.
So if I want to, I put the plug-in in my WordPress site to set up retargeting. I take it somehow.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not the right person to talk to. I don't have any knowledge about it. Why don't we see if we can get Mike in to chat with us, because
Mike,
it seems like he's got a fair bit of knowledge.
Anyone know too? I didn't do this very well. Let me rewrite this topic. I sort of screwed up the topic. Anyone know how to use retargeting?
Yeah, Mike says he doesn't have his mic or headphones, so well, we tried.
Hey, is there a plug-in, Mike? We can just ask him a question. Pixels.
Yeah.
So anyone know how to use retargeting pixels? So is there a plugin you put in WordPress to get it to work, and then you go out, or I guess I could search it a little bit more.
Yeah, you could. I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry.
This company was calling, and let me drop in the link for the company. They're saying to my wife, they put this up, and they get impressions. You got to watch this stuff. People will drain real estate agents. And let me see if I can find this. I'm going to recopy these notes from Pixelator because the only reason I found this, I must have copied over my notes, my notepad.
I can't comment on it because I really don't know much about it. I've heard it. I've encountered it a couple of times, and on retargeting, I've heard people talk about it. but I really don't actually know what it means or how to use it.
So what we're going to do is on the weekly scam, which is Fridays, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about this email letter I got. And in fact, I'll drop it in here.
Yeah, and Bill, Mike says that there are plugins for WordPress for retargeting. So there you go.
And then systems are they developed by who are they developed by? Facebook, or I know it's a lot of other places. So here's an email I sent off. I wanted to stick that in there with these names. I'm going to copy this and put it on notes. Put it under retargeting or scam. Maybe that's what I have it under scam. SC. It's not a scam. I know this is not a scam, but you got to really be careful. I mean, for the wrong person, the wrong site, if you don't have conversion, I kept on telling the guy, you need conversion.
Yeah, Mike is saying third party, but they work with Facebook API, he thinks. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm completely out of my depth here. I can't even comment at all.
I'm guessing that the more techies and people are on early in the morning on this platform.
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say because you're dealing with time zones all over the world. Like I'm working with a client right now who's based in Australia. So depending on where the client is in Australia right now, it's like 7 o'clock my time. So if I subtract 5 hours, that would bring it to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow for them. So it's the whole timeline, the whole time things can be flitchy because there are two ways that you can figure it out. The way that I've done it, which is I subtract 5 and then add a day to it, or you think about what time it is right now, which is 7 o'clock in the evening, and add 19 to it because they're 19-hour time difference. So it's
Afghanistan is the only place in the world that has a half-hour difference. It's like 12 and a half hours.
No, it's not.
11 and a half.
No.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm from Canada.
Afghanistan.
I know what you said about Afghanistan being the half hour, but I'm trying to tell you that it's not the only place.
Oh,
there's a long-standing joke from when I was a kid, which went along the lines: "The world will end at 10 o'clock tonight, 10:30, Newfoundland." That's not it's a joke, but it's not a joke. 10:30.
You guys aren't what kind of weird time? I've seen the time zones up there. They're all normal.
No, they're not. Look at Newfoundland. Unless they change, it is still on the half hour.
World time zone map. World time zone map. Let me look at one of these. That's a tough one. It looks normal. Well, not quite. Let me see. Let me find a better one. I'm not finding any good maps right now. I'm going to visit page, view image. Let's see. It looks normal.
No, it's not. I'm looking at it right now. I just typed in time in Newfoundland. Time in Newfoundland, so it's like 7 o'clock. It is.
I wasn't looking at Newfoundland.
Silly boy. Yeah, it is 11:24. So I rest my case. The world will end at 10 o'clock tonight, 10:30 Newfoundland.
Yeah, it's 11:24. You're 100% correct. I didn't know that.
Now you know. You're talking to a Canadian here. We're founts of information.
There's another goofy place in the world. Why? Why?
Why what?
UTM 3.5. Why is it half an hour? Why? Why did they do that?
Why is the sky blue? I mean, I don't know.
By the way, I have a Labrador. We've had Labradors, and they got an interesting history. But I think they were first found in Newfoundland, I think. Discovered.
Thinking about the Newfoundlander, which is another type of dog.
Yeah, I knew the Newfoundlander. That's a beautiful dog. I think.
They are. Yeah, they're gorgeous.
But Labrador.
Yeah, labs. I like labs. Especially, well, my favorite of all of the types of labs that you can get would be the golden lab, golden retriever.
Yeah, we have a golden. We've had there's an American breed and an English breed. They come from the same line, but over years they were separated and bred. Really interesting story. The first labs were found by English sailors who come into Newfoundland, into Labrador, I guess. and they found them, and they could take the cold and the water, and they're little interesting dogs. But the British bred them to be calmer, a little bit longer hair and a little shorter legs, a little stockier. The American Lab was bred to be very aggressive on the prairie as a hunting dog.
Yeah.
And longer legs, shorter hair, very, very aggressive, a little crazy. So we have a lab which is half English. It's got papers, half English and half American. And it's an interesting combination. Our last lab was an American.
There's a joke in here somewhere. I don't know what it is.
But I'm saying it's half and half, and it's got a sort of a stubborn person. It's not as crazy as our American lab, but it's a little bit more stubborn and individual. It's more of an individual animal. It's not.
The funny thing about that, I mean, my mind just went sideways to a comic book that I remember reading to do with Air Force humor, and where this guy's in a pub and he goes, "I'll have an arf love." Which I forget what it was. It might have been ginger beer and something. I can't remember. Like there was a particular drink. Oh God.
Oh, got some sites here. Thanks, Mike.
Shandy, which is actually kind of interesting. But
I'm going to open up this link right here. So I'm going to look at these links. WordPress plugins. Which one? I'll look at. Found this. I'm going to look at his WordPress
retargeter.
Interesting. I wonder if I always like to look at the ratings. Well, maybe we'll talk about these. We do a show called WP Tonic on Saturday mornings, and that would be good. I think you have to spend time in marketing your sites and podcasting to get stuff out there. Yeah. You have to send out emails.
I'm not 100% sure about any of this. I'm just going by what people are telling me is to get out there. Press releases apparently are important too. I've got a press release. I haven't sent it out yet, but it's something I need to do.
Yeah, I should do that around Reno. I would do real well around Reno, actually, locally. We do pretty good on listeners, I can tell, in the different shows. One time I mix the shows a little bit too much on the same feed. We have Timelines. We do a show every day, and it's got on the same feed. Some of those shows are so different. Some of the shows are on their separate feeds, and they get fairly large numbers. WP Tonic, the tech show, gets a large number each week, a lot more than it does on Timelines. Yeah. So, and then we have a real estate show we just started. It's getting terrible numbers. That's with Jonathan Dinwood, and it's tomorrow. I think, and it gets terrible numbers. It's bad. This show will get numbers for a period of time.
On the podcasting, that's one of the many things I'm going to have to learn.
The numbers at Lipson, you can get analytics. So we get analytics off the Lipson. So I'm going to finish it up. Let's make sure I get the right name on here for you. Did I change it yet? Anyone know how to do?
What did you want to change?
It's back to where we were. Let me just get back to where we were.
Oh, that was like the Timelines interview.
I'll destroy it.
Yeah.
You ever work with a MacBook or a Mac?
I have worked with the Mac in the past. I wound up having to switch back to PC because of what I was writing about. There wasn't enough interest on a Mac for me to make a decent living from it.
The Mac is just nice to use. The battery lasts. It just works. It costs a lot for the hardware, but it just works. Yeah,
and that's one of the things I like about the Mac. And eventually, as my income rises, one of the things I want to do is go back to a Mac. But I'd been torn with the idea of getting like a MacBook Pro, I believe it's called, which is a laptop, or getting one of the bigger screen models. But the problem is I travel. Yeah. And so the challenge is, can I find a backpack big enough to deal with something like that so I can move it around fairly easily?
The 13-inch MacBook Pro is beautiful. My wife has one. The i5 chip it just really lasts. Yeah. And the Air lasts a long time. New ones are much lighter. Yeah, the new ones, and they just use a Lightning on them. I don't like just the Lightning. I like the USBs and the other plugs. And for podcasting, you need MacBook Pro is perfect for podcasting. It's quiet, solid state. SSDs coming way down. They're expensive though. But you know what I did for my daughter? We bought on a Black Friday. We bought an older 2012 model with a solid state hard drive in it. Yeah. And we got it for like $800. And it's a beautiful machine. There's a lot to that. That was an expensive machine in its day. Battery's not bad. Everything's great on it. It's solid. It's got the disc. But what you can do is you can buy SSD solid state now, dirt cheap, and put one in there. They've come way down. Yeah. That'll make it really fly.
Actually thinking of putting a solid state in this one that I've got. It's not a Mac. It's a Lenovo ThinkPad. Yeah. this actually turned out to be one of the better laptops I've had, and I've had a few.
The Lenovo's a good machine.
Yeah, it is. I'm very surprised and very pleased, actually, that it's as good as it is.
Hey, Rob, you mentioned that we had a Brenner for a guest tonight. The CIA director? Not really. But we had his name up there. It didn't work. Hey, Rob, as you think, we're looking right now at Blab, and I'm trying at this time of night. It's a really nice time to do an interview. I'm going to go to edit. But we're looking at Blab right now, and we're just amazed that, like, Martin Schilek, or whatever his name is.
Shkreli, I think is how you pronounce it.
I don't even want to know. He's got
the bad boy of pharma.
271 people watching him live right now, and he's had 1,159. Like, why? Why?
Because he's a person that people love to hate.
I've looked at him a couple of times. I'm sure not going to watch more in a couple of seconds. And then we've got 30 people watching. What happened if Trump would come on right now? What would happen?
Oh my God, we'd have a firestorm. We'd have to burn our laptops. They would get corrupted with all the racist comments. Our hard drives would never
you get that happen. I had some bad folks come on today. We tried to outlaw you have him and Christy come on at the same time. They could be talking, and they could have guests come on. That would be hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Rob. Okay. I'm going to finish up on that one. So we're going to go night. Rob, tomorrow, I got to tell, you know what? I got to talk. When is the next show? If you go on Timelines.
Yep.
And you go to Timelines, you go to the second tab.
The show is Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific. The real estate show.
That's our worst show. Let me drop it in. I'm going to drop 2 shows in here. So here's the real estate link. Make sure it's right. It says 20 hours till it starts. So here's the real estate show. Everyone can sign up for tomorrow to listen. We got to excite that show, Jonathan. I got to get Jonathan going. Let me go back on Timelines on the schedule. I really like what I've done here on the schedule because it's really easy to make sure everything is squared away and not screwed up. Is going on that schedule.
I see this thing on the left here too, where it says share the last 30 seconds, which is
hit it. Have you hit it yet? Hit it. Do it. I've done it quite a few times. That's something new. Hey, Rob, are you I'm actually making some money in my business. We had a pretty good month last month. Not so much on this, but my other elements. And some of it had to do with my online presence through the real estate. How is your business doing? Are you getting your stuff off the ground and working other than working? He's got those government contracts, those fat cat government contracts. He's one of those. He's one of those establishment people out of the Beltway. The Beltway bandit? No, not really.
Yeah,
I'm giving a hard time. He's a good guy. He believes in free markets and hard work, and loves Bernie Sanders. Come on, I loves Bernie. Yeah, he's really bummed that Bernie's losing.
Politics in the U.S. are different than we've got Trudeau, the second incarnation of Trudeau in Canada. I think my father would be turning over in his grave if he knew that we had another Trudeau in power. He didn't like the first one.
Who was the mayor up in, what was it, Toronto? Was it Toronto? You had a great mayor up there.
Oh, Christ. The one who was causing a lot of trouble. Rob.
What were they thinking when they elected him? What could they have been thinking?
Knows. Rob something. It was an embarrassment to read about this guy. It's like,
Rob, whatever he says. Toronto's mayor.
Rob something. I see an image of him in my mind, but it's just.
I'll get it in a second. Rob Ford, was it? Yeah, Rob Ford.
That's it, Rob Ford.
He made like news all over. We was constantly on the United States.
He would have been welcome in American politics, Canadian politics. I think a lot.
He could probably run for president. Anyway. Oh my gosh, that guy was crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, mostly drug fueled, from what I understand.
54th mayor. How do you ever get elected? That's a question. How do you get elected? I guess we got other people elected like him. So in the United States,
I don't know.
I lost to a guy. I'm pretty straight shooter, West Point, all that stuff. I lost to a guy who got kicked out of the Navy as an E3 after 8 years. E1 promoted. He was married 5 times, had DUIs, and I lost him for state Senate race. Unbelievable. Well, actually, it had to do with.
I don't know what to say about any of that. I can't.
It wasn't state Senate. Excuse me. It was the second run. It's a weird story, but I lost this guy in the primary.
People have a tendency to be attracted to the bad boys and the bad girls. I don't really know why exactly, but they are.
This guy had a nice wife, though. Yeah, nice. His 5th wife is the nice one. He got the right wife in the 5th shot.
Good.
But I won't put him down for that. But the DUIs, and his business was selling snow cones. Unbelievable. Now, and then they got into politics and stayed there for 20 years, getting paid big bucks. State Senate, and then he's been a commissioner, which is a great job. Actually, supervisor in California, which is.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments. Hillary becoming POTUS with all levels of disbelief. Who knows who's going to be POTUS?
Mike's not. Yeah, Mike. I mean, Rob is not going to like this, and this is one of my. Maybe some people call it liberal. I know you can't do it, but term limits. I believe in limits, and this is controversial. I like caps. Rob's going to hate this. Caps of $250 and only individuals for campaign donations. California had that 1 year, and I ran. I did so well because I run really efficient campaigns. But you get the special interests, and they just fund the yahoos, and they control everybody. So.
We call them rednecks in Canada.
Free markets, my money, my right. I know that's the argument. You can't beat the Constitution protects you. Well, it does, but it doesn't. They have a cap like 32, I think, federals, and they do have caps.
I think a lot of this. I think a lot of what would make you a success or not would come down to your marketing. And apparently, when Obama did his campaigns, he had some really top-notch marketers.
I interviewed some of the. I talked to him. Rob Welch. I've interviewed him. One of the people that worked on the campaigns. The Democrats did. Oh yeah. They did. And I'll tell you, who has Bernie Sanders has got good guys. But you know who's done an amazing job is Trump. Trump has spent very little money. If you look at Bush and the old Republican establishment, they suck. They suck at new media. They absolutely suck. And they spend lots of money. Karl Rove is gone. He's toast. He has toasted the establishment. He takes all their money and spends it. And Karl Rove. I said Karl Rove. You know who he is. He actually did a fundraiser for another guy I ran against.
I can't follow the U.S. stuff. I'm not into it all that much. So I'm not even into Canadian politics. I try my very best to stay away from it, actually.
Karl Rove profile. Here I'm bringing his profile. You got to know who this is. Oh, no, it didn't come up right. Communist. Let's see. Oh, yes. So what are you going to do tonight? Or from this?
I'm actually kind of bagged in the moment. I just want to get a bite of dinner, and I'm going to curl up with a good book, I think. I thought about going on Blab again, but I'm just really tired. It's been a long day.
Here's an article to start out with. We'll start doing 2 seconds. Do a little politics as we finish up here.
Sure.
Get some American politics here.
Fox
News. GOP establishment has ruined the Republican brand. That's interesting. I've never seen that one before. That was
no, I don't believe that kind of stuff. You see, the one thing, I work in media, and I see sensational headlines all the time. And this kind of stuff is going to be forgotten in 5 minutes.
Jeb Bush did a pretty crappy campaign.
I
agree, they do change fast.
Yeah, I just don't buy it with a lot of this stuff. It's like the first Survivor episode. Who remembers any of the contestants on that show outside of the guy who even hosted it? Do you remember any of them?
No. I was probably busy at the time fighting a war, but maybe. When was Survivor? When did they first come out?
I can't remember, a long time ago, but that's the point is that people forget. And unless they're constantly reminded about something, they forget. So from my perspective, it's not all that important. A lot of the stuff that humanity thinks is important goes into the shredder real quick. And unless history or other people keep reminding us about it, we're going to forget. That's just the way we are.
Here's the thing on Karl Rove, Real Clear Politics. This is a liberal site, though, I think. So, Karl Rove.
I'm out of my depth. Once again,
American politics is very interesting. I do a show on Sunday nights called Meet the Voter, right? And it's got I've got two. Usually, I bring two Democrats, and they're usually Bernie people on, 2 conservatives. We rotate a little bit, but I'll tell you what. One last thing to finish up with.
Sure.
We have on that show, it's kind of interesting. In Northern Nevada, some of these people are from Long Beach and Southern California. And I went to a meeting last night, which was the California Republican Assembly. I mean, not California, the Nevada Washoe Republican Assembly meeting. And people were coming up and asking me about the characters on the show from the Democrat side, that they're actually starting to follow them and start talking about them. And I don't even know these people. So that's the beauty of Blab, people watching stuff and acting. Yep. It is really interesting. Meet the Voter. Meet the Voter. So Meet the Voter is one of my fun sites. And so I didn't put up, look at something real fast. Meet the Voter. I didn't put her. See if it popped up here. No, she's not there. She is. So, Meet the Voter. Let me put this site up here. So they were asking at this place, and I didn't know that people are asking about and talking about the characters on the show, especially the Democrats. These are Republicans talking about the characters. And by the way, Rob, you missed this. I asked Dr. Nicholas Hernandez, I said, well, what if you're taxed 100% of your money? How would you feel? And he said, well, it depends how they spend the money. It's like communism when you take 100% of his money.
That's a really stupid answer.
And he's a Chapman. Unbelievable. I said, it depends how they spend, because I want government to be really small in supporting people.
Yeah, well, we could have a big, long discussion about that, and I have to admit I don't have the energy for it. But
Sam Brooks is one of the favorites of the Republicans. Everyone was asking about Sam Brooks. And Sam Brooks is a millennium, a student political science advocate, and a postmodern politician. She wasn't from Laguna Beach, but anyway, she's a Democrat. Anyway, I'm going to finish up. I'm blabbing. I'm definitely blabbing. I'm losing it. Because Rob came on. Rob came on. We're tired. Come up anytime on, thanks, Rob, on Saturday for discussion if you want to talk to the websites or
right.
I can anytime. Sure. Jump on any blab. You're welcome to jump in blabs. And again, if you think of somebody to interview, send them my way. Hey, thanks, Rob. I know it's late. It's good seeing you. So Take care. I'll be on more in the evenings. And I thank you. I'm going to knock you off first because I made you a host. I'm going to shut you down myself. So say wait, bye.
Okay. See you, folks. Thanks.
Well, folks, thank you for this is a long one. I'm blabbing. I'm tired, but I've got a ton of work to do tonight. I got to edit 2 shows, and it's going to take me. Well, Rob, I know you're 3 hours later, so it's pretty late where you are. I go to bed about midnight. It's just you and me, Rob. This is scary. So I hope you're doing well. Come up sometime and say hi. So I'm going to take off. Take care. Bye.